Paramilitary cults are considered to be the most dangerous of cults because they are known to stockpile firearms, teach their members military tactics, and brainwash their followers into believing they need to die for their group. Welcome to Basic Facts of the Aggressive Christianity Missions Training Course. Let's start with the group started as Free Love Ministries. Before the group was made, leaders Lila and Jim Green were staying at a hippie commune called Bear Tribe in 1971. While staying here, Lila and Jim became more devoted to Christianity, and in 1979 they claimed that God had spoken to them, telling them that they needed to gather his spiritual army, but Bear Tribe wasn't a religious commune. So in 1980, Lila and Jim left the commune to start building God's army, and they settled in Sacramento, California, where they would establish Free Love Ministries. Parents protested against the group. In Sacramento, the two began to preach and build up a following, and eventually members started to donate enough to the cause that the Greens were able to buy a building for members to live in as a commune. One member donated some of his art stores to Lila and Jim, who made members work at them for free. Any money made was given back to the Greens. It was at this time that Lila and Jim began to put down rules that were more strict than before, and if you didn't follow them, you would be punished. Among these rules, members were no longer allowed to leave the compound without Lila or Jim's permission. Members were now expected to fast whenever the leaders decided to, and members could no longer associate with anyone outside the group. Then the group began to go on religious missions outside the United States, where in 1986, a member ended up dying of malaria, which brought the public's attention and criticisms. Not soon after, parents of members began to protest against the group, stating that their children had stopped communicating with them and that it was because they were being brainwashed by Lila and Jim Green. The group changes its name to ACMTC. In 1985, along with the new name Aggressive Christianity Mission Training Course, came military-style uniforms, which also caused members to refer to each other by military ranks, specifically calling Lila and Jim the Generals. But the rules also became more strict again, with members being told who they could and couldn't marry, as well as any members who had children and decided to leave the group weren't allowed to take those children with them. Children within the group were not allowed to have toys, and they were often treated like adults. It was also during this time that Lila told the group that she had received a prophecy from God that told of her having the ability of one of God's judges in the Bible, known as Deborah. Lila now would be referred to as General Deborah. Ex-member sues the group citing abuse. Former member Mara Schmier went to authorities and told them that she had been abused at the hands of Lila and Jim Green because she had put her family before God. And as punishment, she claimed that she was sent to live in a shed with no toilet, little food, and no heat for 3 months. Schmier won her lawsuit and was awarded around $1 million. To pay the lawsuit, the group was ordered to give over their compounds, but before Schmier could obtain it, the group destroyed a majority of the buildings, making them inhabitable and worthless. The group moves to New Mexico. Since the group was forced to leave their compounds by Schmier's lawsuit, the group moved around until eventually ending up in New Mexico in 1992. To raise money for the new compounds, the group begins to sell handmade items, including fresh-made bread. Not only was the group able to get a compound, they were also able to buy a few stores where members would work at for free. In 2015, two former members would report to authorities that the only way they were able to leave was to literally escape. Authorities began watching the group closely after this. The catalyst would be when former member Brian Miller would go to authorities, stating he was forced to leave his wife and children behind when he left the group. He requests a wellness check on his children, but when this is done, only one of his 4 children were found. Police raid the New Mexico compound. On August 20th, 2017, police raided the compound and arrested 9 members of the Aggressive Christianity Mission Training Course, including Lila and Jim. Soon after, members began to cooperate with authorities. They told them that the babies were being born within the group without any record of their birth. Members also stated that Lila and Jim had illegally taken a baby from Uganda in 1997, and that the child had been physically, emotionally, and sexually abused since arriving at the compound. Miller's wife, Stacy, was charged in the death of their 12-year-old son, Enoch, who died of a treatable disease while at the compound in 2014. Authorities found his body buried in a grave at the compound. Stacy Miller was sentenced to 9 years after pleading guilty to the death of her son. Jim Green pled no contest to child abuse, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. He received a 10-year sentence. Lila pled not guilty to 13 charges, but after a short trial, she was found guilty and sentenced to 72 years in prison. She is currently filing an appeal for a new trial. Whether or not you believe Lila and Jim were prophets of God or just abusers, you now know the basics about the Aggressive Christianity Mission Training Course. Thanks for watching.